Hi, y'all. So I couldn't find a good video on multiply and divide rational, so I'm just gonna make my own. Okay, so you have to listen to me for a little bit longer. So the last video you watched today was all about just simplifying rational expressions. Now we are going to multiply and divide them. They are very, 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 very similar. So once you can do multiply, you can do dividing because it's basically the same thing. So we're gonna do one of each: one multiply and one divide. Okay. It all comes down to factoring. If you can factor, this is pretty easy. If you can't factor, this is going to be a bit of a challenge, okay? So the very first thing is you have to factor everything first. So all four sides of this, you might have to factor. I made these two examples are a little bit complicated just because we're going to go through it. You usually won't have to factor all four, okay? So first we are going to start by factoring this top one, okay? And if we factor 3x squared plus 7x plus 2. Remember, the first number is not 1 anymore. So I'm going to write it down here, 3x squared plus 7x plus 2. And we're going to factor this thing. Okay, so to factor this, we multiply 3 times 2, we get 6. Put 7 on the bottom. That would be 6 and 1. 6 times 1 is 6. 6 plus 1 is 7. Then I make my parentheses, 3x plus 6, 3x plus 1, right? Whatever comes first. Then I could divide this first one by 3. So that gives me x plus 2 and 3x plus 1. So I factored the top left side of the equation. And I'm going to write that up here. So that gave me x plus 2, 3x plus 1. Now I need to factor this one. Now I got to do the bottom. All right, this one's easier because there's a 1 in front. Right, so I don't have to do this dividing stuff. So x squared minus 2x minus 8. Make my x. Negative 8 on top, negative 2 on bottom. Remember, 1 times 8 is negative 8. So that would be negative 4 and positive 2. Because negative 4 times 2 would give me negative 8. And negative 4 plus 2 would give me negative 2. All right, so we're going to split it up into x minus 4, x plus 2. There's the bottom of that one. So this one gives me x minus 4, x plus 2. Okay? Now we have to do the exact same thing for these two, right? So I would factor these two the same exact way as I did this one, okay? So what multiplies to get 4? Basically for this top one, what multiplies to get negative 4? Rewrite it, x squared minus 3x minus 4. What multiplies to get negative 4 but adds to get negative 3? That would be negative 4 and positive 1. So that would give me x minus 4, x plus 1. So you see that now. That's the third one. So that's going to be the top of this one. X minus 4, x plus 1. So as you can see, these can take a while. All right, now I made a pretty long one here. Most of them aren't going to be this bad. Now I got to do the bottom. X squared plus 3x plus 2. Make my x. 1 times 2 is 2 and adds to get 3. That would be 2 and 1. 2 times 1 is 2. 2 plus 1 is 3. So that gives me x plus 2, x plus 1. That's what I'm going to put right here. X plus 2, x plus 1. So all I've done so far is factored all four of those. Okay, so if you know factoring, it's going to be pretty easy. Now that I have factored it, now I look for things that are the same on the top and the bottom, and I cancel those things out because we're dividing, right? So like 5 divided by 5 is just 1. They just cancel out. 7 divided by 7 is 1. So we're going to look for things that are the same. For example, x minus 4 right here and x minus 4 right there. I can cancel those out. X plus 2 down below, x plus 2 up top. I can cancel those out. X plus 1 on top, x plus 1 on top. Cancel those out. These two are not going to go anywhere. So those two stay. So that's my final answer. 3x plus 1 over x plus 2. And we're finished. Right, so if you can factor, this isn't too bad. Factor it, cancel things that are the same. All right, just cross them off. If one's on top, one's on bottom, get rid of it. All right? Dividing is the exact same. Okay? Now, if you remember how to divide fractions, because that's basically what we're doing, whenever we divide fractions, dividing by a fraction is the exact same thing as multiplying by the reciprocal. So whenever we have division, I'm going to change it to multiply, and I'm going to flip the second fraction. That's the only thing that changes when we divide. And now this problem is exactly like what we just did, right? It's the same exact thing. We're going to factor it. We're going to cancel things out. Okay, I'm not going to go through all these factoring steps here to try to make the video as short as possible, but get my point across. So to factor this top one, right, they both have a y in common. So I would take out the y, 5y plus 1. The bottom, they're both squares, right? Difference of squares. So y minus 1, y plus 1. This one over here, I would have to factor the same way I did this one, right? Do 4 times 5, make my x. So if I factored that one, I would get 4y plus 5. And then y minus 1. And then this bottom one now has a 2y in common. So I'm going to take the 2y out. And that would leave 5y plus 1. And once again, once we have factored it, we just start canceling things that are the same. So I have a 5y plus 1 and a 5y plus 1. I have a y minus 1 and a y minus 1. What else do we have? I have a y right here. This y cancels that y. And then all right, so we have, now I canceled out these y's. I kind of got stopped there. Somebody came in my room, if you're wondering. I don't really know where I'm at. We canceled out these y's, right? So then the 4y plus 5 and the y plus 1 aren't the same, right? There's nothing I can do, and I also have that 2. So my final answer is 4y plus 5 on top. Then I have the 2 and the y plus 1 on the bottom, and we are finished. So as you can see, dividing is exactly like multiply after you change it, right? So change divide to multiply, flip the second sign. So you guys might have heard keep, change, flip. Keep the first one the same, change the sign, change divide to multiply, flip the second fraction. All right, those are our notes for multiply and divide rational expressions. Got any questions? Let me know. Deuces.